What kind of person demands a school tradition be erased without asking a single question? Karen Hollis stood in the auditorium, her voice slicing through the air like a blade, declaring the annual war playa beloved, 20-year tradition too violent for children. Her words echoed off the wooden stage, stunning the small crowd of teachers and students gathered for the rehearsal. Nobody saw it coming. Not Ms. Elena Carter, the history teacher who'd poured her heart into directing the play for a decade. Not the students, whose faces crumpled as their months of preparation unraveled. Karen, with her sharp eyes and a smirk that seemed permanently etched, didn't blink. She'd stormed into Jefferson High 2 weeks ago, a new parent with a mission, and now she held the room hostage with her ultimatum. The play was done, banned, finito. No discussion, no compromise. Elena's hands trembled as she clutched the script, its pages worn from years of use. The play, Fields of Valor, wasn't just a performance. It was a living history lesson, a reenactment of a Revolutionary War battle that taught students about sacrifice, strategy, and the cost of freedom. For 20 years, it had been the heart of the school's spring semester, a rite of passage where kids donned costumes, memorized lines, and felt the weight of the past. Parents cheered, teachers wept, and the community came together. But Karen didn't know that. She hadn't bothered to ask. She saw muskets, fake ones, mind you, and a scripted skirmish, and decided it glorified violence. "My son won't be exposed to this," she'd snapped at the principal, her voice loud enough to carry through the office walls. By the next day, the school board, desperate to avoid a lawsuit, caved. The play was canceled. Elena tried to reason with her. She stood on the stage, her voice steady despite the fire in her chest. "Mrs. Hollis, this play has been part of our school for 2 decades. It's about history, not violence. The kids learn teamwork. Leadership." Karen cut her off, her laugh sharp and mocking. "Leadership? By pretending to shoot each other? Bear me. I'm protecting these kids. Even if you won't." The students behind Elena shifted uncomfortably. Among them was Sam, a quiet junior who'd spent weeks memorizing his role as a young soldier. His eyes were fixed on the floor, but his fists were clenched. Karen didn't notice. She never did. The news spread like wildfire. Parents whispered in group chats, students vented in the hallways, and teachers exchanged grim looks in the break room. Elena, though, wasn't ready to surrender. She'd seen too many kids light up during rehearsals, too many parents wipe tears as their children brought history to life. She called an emergency meeting with the drama club, a tight-knit group of 15 students who'd become her second family. In the dim light of the auditorium, she laid out the truth. Karen had gone straight to the school board, claiming the play was dangerous, even citing a vague trauma risk for her son, who'd never even auditioned. The board, terrified of bad press, hadn't consulted the faculty or the community. They'd just rolled over. But Elena had a plan. She'd heard whispers of Karen's tactics before other parents mentioned her bulldozing through the PDA, demanding gluten-free snacks at every event, even for kids with no allergies. There was a pattern. Karen thrived on control, not facts. Elena's voice dropped as she spoke to the students. "We're not giving up. This play is your legacy. We'll fight for it smartly." Sam looked up, his eyes bright with something new. Resolve. The group nodded, their whispers turning to a quiet roar of determination. They'd start with the truth, gathering evidence of the play's impact, testimonials from alumni, photos from past performances, even lesson plans showing its educational value. They'd present it to the board, not as a plea, but as a demand. The twist came a week later, when Sam uncovered something unexpected. He'd been digging through old yearbooks for photos when he found a grainy picture from 20 years ago. A younger Karen, then a student at Jefferson High, standing proudly in costume as part of the very play she now condemned. The discovery hit like a thunderbolt. Karen hadn't just ignored the tradition, she'd been part of it. Elena's heart raced as she held the photo, her mind spinning. Why would Karen erase her own past? What was she hiding? The students buzzed with excitement, but Elena urged caution. This was ammunition, but they had to use it wisely. They'd confront Karen, not with accusations, but with the weight of her own history. The auditorium was a powder keg waiting for a spark. Elena and the students had spent days compiling their case. Letters from alumni who credited the play with sparking their love for history, videos of past performances showing kids beaming with pride, and data from a survey proving 92% of parents supported the tradition. They'd even found a retired teacher, Mrs. Grayson, who'd directed the play in its early years and was ready to testify to its value. But the photo of Karen, standing in a Revolutionary War costume with a musket in hand, was their secret weapon. They didn't know why she'd turned against her own past, but they knew it was leverage. The school board agreed to hear them out at a public meeting, and the stage was set for a showdown. Karen arrived late, her heels clicking on the polished floor, her face a mask of smug confidence. She'd heard about the meeting and came prepared, armed with a binder full of articles about school violence and vague statistics about trauma triggers. The board, a group of 5 nervous administrators, sat at a long table, their eyes darting between Karen and the crowd of parents and students filling the auditorium. Elena stepped forward, her voice clear and unshaken. She laid out the play's history, its educational impact, and the community's support. She showed photos of smiling kids in costume, their faces painted with pride, not fear. The crowd murmured in agreement, a low hum of support that grew louder with every point. Then came the twist. Sam, nervous but resolute, took the microphone. He held up the yearbook photo, enlarged on a projector screen for all to see. A gasp rippled through the room. There was Karen, 20 years younger, her face softer but unmistakable, standing proudly in the play she now called dangerous. "Mrs. Hollis," Sam said, his voice steady despite his shaking hands. "You were in this play. You know what it meant to us. Why are you trying to take it away?" The room fell silent. Karen's face froze, her smirk vanishing. For the first time, she looked cornered. She stammered, her words tripping over each other. "That's irrelevant," she snapped, but her voice lacked its usual bite. "I was a kid. I didn't know better." The crowd wasn't buying it. Whispers turned to murmurs, then to open questions. Why was she lying? What was she afraid of? Elena seized the moment. "Mrs. Hollis, this play isn't about violence. It's about understanding our past. You felt that once. Why deny these kids the same chance?" Karen's eyes darted to the board, then to the crowd, searching for an ally. She found none. The board chair, a weary man named Mr. Thompson, leaned forward. "Mrs. Hollis, did you know about the play's history when you made your complaint?" Karen's silence was deafening. She clutched her binder, her knuckles white, and muttered something about protecting her son. But the room had turned. Parents stood, sharing stories of their own kids' experiences in the play. A father spoke of his daughter, now a historian, who found her passion on that stage. A grandmother recounted watching her son, years ago, learn confidence through his role. The tide was shifting, and Karen was drowning in it. But she wasn't done. Karen stood, her voice rising to a shrill pitch. "You're all delusional. This play is a lawsuit waiting to happen. I'll take this to court if I have to." The threat hung heavy, but Elena was ready. She'd consulted a lawyer friend, who'd confirmed the play broke no laws or district policies. It was protected speech, rooted in education, and Karen's claims were baseless. Elena laid this out calmly, her words like a gavel striking. The board, sensing the shift, called for a vote. For hands rose to reinstate the play. Karen's face twisted in fury, but she had no cards left to play. She stormed out, her heels echoing in the now silent auditorium. The victory was short-lived. Karen didn't just fade away, she doubled down. The next morning, social media exploded with her posts, accusing the school of endangering children and ignoring parental rights. She tagged local news outlets, spinning a narrative of a reckless administration pushing violent themes on impressionable kids. A few outlets picked it up, running sensational headlines that twisted the play into something sinister. The school was flooded with calls, some supportive, others furious. Elena felt the weight of it all, her resolve tested as she scrolled through comments calling her a warmongering teacher. The students, too, were shaken. Sam, who'd been so brave at the meeting, came to her in tears, worried he'd made things worse by showing the photo. Elena hugged him, her voice firm. "You told the truth. That's never wrong." But the truth wasn't enough. Karen's campaign gained traction, and a small group of parents, swayed by her posts, started a petition to ban the play permanently. The board, rattled by the bad press, wavered. They scheduled another meeting, this time with a lawyer present to review legal risks. Elena knew this was the real fight. She rallied the drama club, parents, and alumni for a final stand. They flooded the board with letters, organized a community rally outside the school, and even got Mrs. Grayson to speak on local radio about the play's legacy. The momentum was building, but so was Karen's wrath. She showed up at the rally, shouting over the crowd, her face red with indignation. "You're brainwashing these kids," she yelled, pointing at Elena. A parent stepped in, calmly asking Karen to explain her evidence. She couldn't. Her accusations crumbled under scrutiny, but she refused to back down. The final meeting was electric. The auditorium was packed, standing room only. Elena spoke first, her voice thick with emotion. She told the story of a student from years ago, a shy girl who'd found her voice through the play and later became a lawyer fighting for justice. She spoke of Sam, who'd faced his fears to stand up for what was right. She held up the script, its pages a testament to 20 years of learning and growth. The crowd erupted in applause, but Karen wasn't done. She took the microphone, her voice shaking with rage. "This is about safety. You're all too blind to see it." But her words fell flat. The lawyer, a no-nonsense woman named Ms. Patel, confirmed the play was legally sound. The board voted again, this time unanimously, to protect the tradition. Karen's world collapsed. The petition fizzled, her posts lost traction, and the community turned away from her. A week later, a local paper ran a story about the play's triumphant return, complete with the yearbook photo of Karen. The headline was brutal. "Parents' crusade against school play backfires." She starred in it. Karen's son, embarrassed, begged her to stop. She withdrew her complaints, citing personal reasons, and faded from the school's orbit. The play went on better than ever. Sam took the stage, his voice steady as he delivered his lines, the weight of history behind him. Elena watched from the wings, tears in her eyes, knowing they'd fought for something bigger than a performance. The aftermath was a quiet triumph. The play became a symbol of resilience, a reminder that truth and community could outlast even the loudest voices. Elena started a scholarship fund in the play's name, ensuring its legacy for future generations. Sam, inspired, decided to study history in college, carrying the lessons of the stage into his future. And somewhere, in the silence of her defeat, Karen learned a hard truth. You can't erase the past, especially when it's written in the hearts of those who cherish it. The auditorium, once a battleground, was alive again with laughter, applause, and the echoes of a tradition unbroken.